Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, I want to share with you a couple of really fun things we did around the Shenandoah National Park and the Skyline Drive and the Appalachian Trail just the other weekend, starting with a hike on the AT. We decided to park at the Thornton Gap exit. There is a wonderful bathhouse here. They have a water filling station, maps, all sorts of great things. And they have two parking lots, an upper lot and a lower lot. As the day progresses, the lots do fill up because this is a very busy location. This will be our first official hike on the AT Trail, and today we'll be hiking Mary's Rock. It's a moderate 3.7-mile round trip, and I'm not sure of the exact elevation gain up to the summit, but let me just tell you, it is up, up, and away. The trail was in really good shape, I must say. Everything was very well marked, and although it was a little rocky in some places and a little rooty in others, by and large, everything was very easy to navigate, and it didn't take long before we had the first beautiful vista. Yes, there were power lines. Eventually, we do climb above the power lines, but on our way up, there were so many wonderful, beautiful flowers to see along the way. Mountain laurel, azaleas. I think that these were wild geraniums. We even saw some little dark purple violets. So it was just beautiful. The ferns were popping out. Now we did stop and admire this one little area. Not only was there plenty of moss, but there was a little teeny kind of spring that was coming out of the mountainside, and so the ground was a bit wet. But again, we kept climbing up and the views kept getting more and more beautiful. Now, I will be the first to tell you, I am a bit of a distracted hiker. I am not setting any sort of record paces because I stop and I just want to look around and take pictures. And again, a fast hiker is not what I am. Here though, I want to show you, it was pretty much a drop off on the left-hand side of the trail, and I'm sure on other parts of the AT it can be even more so, but there isn't always a ton of room, and so when you go to pass other hikers, sometimes you have to like just squeeze over on one side of the trail, or you have to let them come through so you can then pass. And so again, hiking etiquette is something that needs to be worked on, you need to be mindful of, because the trail isn't always wide enough for ample passing space. But as we continued up our hike, we saw some really neat caves. And again, I had to stop and take my pictures and ooh and ah. These would be really great places for animals or even hikers to duck into if there was ever a really bad storm. This cave here was an even better example of that. You could see where someone could really get up under there if they had to get out of the elements. Now, the weather was very fair and I wasn't about to climb in there, but that was pretty neat to see. So after we did our little inspecting, we continued on our way up. Now we're probably about halfway, and at this point we found what could be a really great little water filling station if you were truly out hiking and you had to. There were little puddles, there was running water, so you could fill a bottle with your filter and all if you absolutely needed to. Now, we didn't, it was a short hike, but that was still fun to see, just pretending as if we were ever truly hiking the AT. So once again, it was back up, up and away, but oh my goodness, this was the coolest tree. I just had to stop and marvel at it. Again, had to take my pictures. It was such a fun tree, I had to show you. As we continued to climb higher up the trail, we were noticing that not only was it getting steeper, it was getting rockier, and the path itself was becoming more narrow. This is likely pretty typical, but being as this was our first hike on the AT, it was something that we certainly noted. We also noted that the trees and the bushes were certainly changing as we were climbing in elevation, but the views just kept getting more and more beautiful. This was such a lovely day to be out hiking. As we continued hiking the top of the trail, we began seeing a few clearings off on the side. I imagine this might be a place where an AT hiker could pitch their small tent for the night, but there was a sign that said that camping is not allowed closer to the summit. We knew we were getting close at this point, and then we saw this one little marker. We had already traveled 1.7 miles, so we were almost there. Just a few more paces, and there it was. We had reached the summit of Mary's Rock. It was a beautiful, exquisite view. Looking out, you could see the green valley below, the blue mountains in the distance, the beautiful white clouds. Everything about the view was just lovely, and I'm so glad that we did this hike. What I'm not showing you though, and I wish I had taken a picture, is the rock itself. Behind me, there is this giant bald rock that does stand up. It's very noticeable, but it was covered with people who had come to have their lunch, and I didn't want to get a picture of that, so forgive me. So after a few short minutes, we then started our descent. Now, for some people, going down a mountain such as this is easier. It's easier on my body, but my husband was saying that going up is easier on his. It all has to do with your joints and your muscles and all of that. But once we started heading down the mountain, it was nothing but down, down, down. Now, at one point, we did stop. I found this really cool rock to sit on. It was this great little throne of a rock. You can't really tell this in the picture, but I was pretty smitten with my seat. And then we had to stop and listen to the birds. We weren't sure what this bird was at first. And so after we identified it, it was an eastern towhee, we continued on our way back down the trail. Now, as we were heading down the trail, there were more and more people hiking up the trail, and we were finding that we really did have to be mindful as to where you approached others to make sure there was plenty of passing lane. And so an area like this is nice and wide. You could always pull over off on the left-hand side to let a person or a group of people pass. And so again, trail etiquette is pretty important. As we passed by my favorite tree, the rainbow tree here, I knew that we were getting close to the bottom. We had less than a quarter of the hike left to go. We stopped to admire a few more caves, a few more vistas on the way down, but you at all times do need to be mindful of the trail and where you're stepping, because there are rocky areas, there are some loose areas where the footing can slip out from under you, so don't let your guard down when you're on a trail such as this. All in all, we had a fantastic time. It was a great hike, and we made it back to the bottom in just a little over 2.5 hours, so not bad. If you are ever in the area and you're looking to do a fairly short, moderate hike, this is a great one to check out. But I would recommend coming earlier in the day because the parking definitely fills up. By the time we were leaving, people were waiting for spaces to become available. So again, you can find a space if you're patient, but we just came early and there was plenty of parking. So now that we had finished our first official hike on the AT, we wanted to do something else we had never done, which was drive on the Skyline Drive. We bought our park pass, which gave us entry into the Shenandoah National Park, and this beautiful scenic drive travels all along the ridge of the mountain with these amazing vista views. You can see off to the east, you can see off to the west, because the road does wind its way with these beautiful views off to both sides. It is just an exquisite drive, and if you've never done it, I would highly recommend this as well. All of these views, you can pull right off the road. They have plenty of parking, and it can be a busy place at times, but today the weather was perfect, it wasn't too crowded, and we had nothing but time to just soak up more of the beauty of Central Virginia, the Shenandoah National Park, and the surroundings all around us. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed that little taste of the AT Trail as well as the Skyline Drive. Both were just such a beautiful way to spend the day, and I'm so glad that I get to share it with you. Check back soon. We'll have more updates and more trips, and we hope to see you in the future. Bye, guys.